Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Anthony Morel, and today what I'm going to be talking about and helping teach you is how to call expired listings. So the three things that we're going to be covering today are, number one, why call expired listings? And you're going to find out that there's a really cool business plan that you can put together behind calling expired listings that's going to be able to help you attract an additional 1, 2, 3, 4+ listings in your business. All right, for the information that I'm going to share with you. Number two, you're going to figure out, well, how do I call them? And I'm going to teach you how to call them. So we're going to talk about a free way to do it, so you don't have to spend any money on it. And then we're going to talk about a way that if you were to invest in a tool, could really help you streamline the process and also not just call expireds, but also call other sources that we'll talk to you about and you'll learn as you progress in the system with us. And then number three, the third thing that I'm going to talk to you about is what to say. Okay, so what to say. So when I'm actually in front of somebody that has signed a contract with someone and they expired and it shows up and now I'm calling them and they're saying, yeah, like, how can you as an agent help me get moved? Well, I'm going to teach you exactly what to say. And I'm also going to teach you how to respond and how to close for an appointment all the way down to working into what's called a pre-qualifying script, which again, the deeper into the system that you go with us, the more we're going to be able to teach you and help you in building the business of your dreams. To make sure that if there's a printout, you've printed it out, but more than anything, that you have your journal out and you're taking notes on the information that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Let's get started. What is an expired, first and foremost? An expired is simply somebody that was listed. They signed a contract that they were going to sell their home, and it did not happen in the time that they agreed to with the agent that they hired. Typically, it's a 3-month contract, or really a 6-month contract is what we want to teach you how to list properties. But you do start to see expireds come up and they've been listed for 3 months, or maybe they've been listed for 6 months or something along those lines. Okay. Now, the two things, so that's why it's important. Number one is because there's an infinite source, and then also it is somebody who has shown you that they've demonstrated the fact that they want to go out and sell their property. So the next reason you would say, well, is Anthony, and by the way, it's simply a numbers game. So when you start to get into the world of expired listings, you start to understand that if I call 10, maybe I set 2 appointments and maybe I get 1 contract signed. Well, why wouldn't everybody just go call 10 expireds a day? Or 20 expireds, or you could do that 30. You mean to tell me I could take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 listings? Well, yes, I mean to tell you that. Now, it does boil down to a couple of things though, right? So it's almost too good to be true in a way. However, there is some items that we need to teach you and that you got to understand in order to be able to go out and truly make this a practical money generating tool for your business. Okay. So I wrote down how. Most people don't know how to call expired listing. There's a couple of ways that you can do it. I'm going to give you 2 ways. I'm going to give you the way that costs absolutely no money, and then I'll give you the way that costs a little bit of money, but both are going to require some time. Okay. So the first way is the way that costs no money. You go into your multiple listing service and in your MLS, your local board, and it'll show you a list of the expired. You could literally select it, right? Find, search, select expireds, and it'll give you a list of expireds. You could put the date range in there, the size. You know how in-depth that matrix can be for you, down to like drawing circles and squares and all that good stuff in a certain area. That's another positive about calling expired listings is you can choose your price point. So you don't have to necessarily call in certain areas. Some of you want to raise your price point. How do I do that? I don't know anybody in that price point. I don't live there. Well, you can start using and developing some skills to then go ahead and work with some of the expireds in that area. So how do we do this though? That's the first way is I pull up my MLS, boom. Well, how do I get their numbers? You can use things like white pages. There's so many different tools you could use to reverse prospect that number. But I'll tell you, one thing that you want to be very, very cautious of is do not call lists. Okay, do not call lists are very, very important. So anytime, which this option number 2 that I'm going to talk about, which is a dialer and things of that nature, which are very popular, you want to make sure that you're always subscribing to that do not call list, because that's a gray area that it's not worth it type of a thing. Another thing you could do though is, as you see the expired listing come up in a certain market, maybe you're only focusing on 500 to 1,000 homes. You could even go knock on the door, and you could use some of the scripts that I'm going to teach you to get in front of that seller and build rapport and see if genuinely, I always looked at, some people looked at it as selling. I looked at it as, how could I be of service, right? I'm really good at what I do. Like if somebody decides to hire me, I'm going to help them get moved to the next place where they're looking to go. I'm not going to waste their time, their money, their energy, their resources. I'm going to review the contracts. I'm going to provide a professional, accountable, and knowledgeable level of service that's going to help them accomplish a goal. So I'm not bothering anybody. I'm more so looking to see how I can help them with the services that I provide. And you should take that same perspective, by the way. How do we do this? To get a dialer. And what I did here was I actually went back to the dialer that I used when I was calling expired listings actively. And the site is called mojosells.com. So they got this logo right here, mojosells.com. And by the way, this isn't the only one that you can subscribe to. There's a Vulcan 7 I used to work with as well. I also used to work with like Rebo Gateway, and there's just a lot of different dialers. I would say the biggest thing with working with dialers is make sure that you have a do not call option on there. You do not want to get entangled with that do not call list. I don't recommend it. And the individuals that put themselves on the do not call list are there for a reason. One of the reasons why I like Mojo though was because it ended up helping me create groups, which was really nice. So as you'll find out, yes, expireds is one column that we're going to be able to dial through. However, for some of you that we're going to teach you how to really increase your contacts from 5 a day to 20 a day, 30 a day, 50 a day, you're going to have other groups. For example, absentee owners, and this is the database that it does for you. Door knocking, probate data, you can put right there as well. But also you have the ability to call lists like canceled, expireds, for rent by owners, for sale by owners, and off market. And you do that because it provides this lead store for you right here. So this lead store is gold. You could literally go in there and, don't quote me on the cost. However, you're able to go in there and just really pick and choose, and also break it down by a geographic map. So you'll get kind of like a map of your city almost, however it looks. And then you can say, like, you could draw radiuses and things like that within the city and take all the homes that are, in that area or whatever, however wide you want to go, specific pockets and things of that nature. Now, the other cool part is that it gives you the information. However, what I love so much about this was the fact that I had the power dialer option. So what did that mean was, instead of going BTT, one phone at a time type of thing, hang up, oh man, they didn't answer. This was dialing 3 numbers at a time for me. Right? And so I'm able to get through a list of, let's say, if I live in Rancho Cucamonga, I'm able to get through that list much faster. And then guess what? Move on to the next list. So number one, most people don't call because they don't know how to get the numbers. Well, there are actual sites that will help you develop getting the numbers, and they'll help formulate everything for you. So if you want more information, do some research on it. I'm sure you're going to find out probably more than even I could teach you there, because it's important. All right. So that's a really important on how to. The second phase, which I'm going to cover next, is what to say. Now, the second phase of calling and speaking to and prospecting expireds that is extremely important, that I feel like gets a lot of agents caught up on why I wouldn't do this. Remember, Anthony, you just showed us that there's tools out there, and there's literally CRM systems out there that will dial them for us. And all I got to do is just get on the phone and speak to people, and I have the ability to make a 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 plus commission check on this. Why wouldn't everybody be doing this, right? And I get it. It's a valid question. I've asked myself that question as well. The biggest component that I found, though, once people get through the how to do it, because most people know how to get to a site that can pull expires and things along those lines, is what to say. They don't have the confidence in what to say to the prospect. If you had just put your home up on the market for 3 months or 6 months, it didn't sell. you had people coming in and out of it and it didn't sell, how would you feel about selling a home at that point? You'd probably be like, heck no, like I'm tired, I'm done. Maybe the communication, like something happened there that did not allow for it to sell. And guess what? Now here all of a sudden comes you trying to, knock on their door, call them and say, hey, I can get the job done. I'm confident in my services. Well, you're going to need to know what to say and demonstrate value in order to be able to convert an individual that has just been through something like that. Okay. And that's what I'm going to teach you right now. So what I've prepared here is a sheet, and it's almost a blueprint all around calling expired listings. What you see here is, I kind of cover here the why pursue the expired listings. They've shown that they'll list with a broker, they're willing to pay a commission, things along those lines. You need listings, and most expired homes, they're saleable, okay? You can also kind of go through here, what system finding tracking. So we kind of covered that a little bit, right? Where you got your lead services and things like that, door knocking, and then you also have, and we added in there as well, dialers, right? Dialers. So the dialers that you could use, maybe call that, there it is, boom. Now, then you want to ask yourself some questions. So are you organized to prospect? So this is a really big thing, is when you are prospecting for expired listings, one thing you want to really understand is that the more and more you dive deeper into calling these expired listings, the more and more this becomes almost your workstation. Now, here's the thing. You can do this from a corner in your house. You don't need much space. However, you do need a place that is going to be almost like where you're going to have some of your scripts in front of you. So you almost just like rehearsing the script. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. Your objection handlers. Well, where were you when my house didn't sell the first time? You got to have an objection handler ready to go at that point in time, right? You want to have your pre-qualifying script ready to go just in case they say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I am ready to sell my home. Well, you want your pre-qualifying script, they're ready to rock and roll. So you go, fantastic. Before I come out, there's a series of questions that I need to ask you. Is it okay if I ask them right now? If what I say makes sense, you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home? Are you planning to list with me when I stop by tomorrow at 3 o'clock, right? Well, heck no. Well, you want to know what to say, right? So this is why this is important here. And by the way, I could teach you all this stuff. So don't, and you can become, through the next thing that I'm going to talk about, which is what to say, it really boils down to skills. You can become the most skilled individual to ever exist in this business, which is really cool. You think about like a Kobe Bryant, for example, or you think about an amazing football player, or some amazing performer, right? Guess what? All they did was practice, and you're in the ability. You are in a business that the more that you practice your skills, the more income that you're going to end up earning. Okay, so just the fact that you're watching this, trust me, you're on the right track. You want a hands-free headset. Why? Well, because when I'm talking and I'm prospecting, I want to be able to really get in. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, well, it's like, think about that, right? You want to really let that energy flow, and you're looking through up to across the telephone, which is, there's energy wavelengths there. You are actually looking to convert a prospect from a lead to an appointment on that telephone. So your energy needs to be there, right? And because of the fact that it's happening through a telephone, your energy actually has to go this much higher than just talking normal. Hey, what's up? How are you? Yeah, cool, all good, right? We're vibing type of a thing. No. You gotta think about some of these things. So important note there. Your standing position, your door, you're not bothered, right? You're not getting distracted by the agents that are around you. You're not being distracted by somebody that's loud noises and things like that. You are literally locked into what you're doing, because your job at that moment and your life is really depending on the fact if you do deals or don't do deals. So what's a script? A script is very simply a series of questions. That's all it is. What's the most effective rhythm for a script? It's very important. And we use this, right? I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to wait for a reply. I'm going to repeat and affirm what they said, and I want to handle that and then go ahead and close for an appointment. All right. So we got some rules. There's some rules when we are working on, and there is some rules when we are conversing with prospects. We don't want to argue with them. We want to be smiling. We want to listen carefully. We want to ask questions. We want to answer their objections, keep moving forward. We want to create urgency. Why do we want to create urgency? Because creating urgency, what happens is that through creating urgency, we are able to set appointments now. Now, this is why that's important. Now and immediately were two words that I learned from my amazing coach, Mr. Stephen Futch, was this. The word now and the word immediately creates it right now. So with an expired listing, think about it. If they're going to give you the opportunity to go over and have a conversation and sell their home, well, what's stopping? And you just called them. What's stopping them from doing that with somebody else that's also calling them? This is very important. You have to understand that with expired listings, there's competition that is out there. There is actual competition that is also calling the same leads. So you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself to not only call very quickly, but that you have your presentation ready to go in the, in your car somewhere, at your desk somewhere, to where if somebody says, yes, I'm interested in meeting, bow, now I got my appointment and I'm almost flying through that sales funnel for some of you that have taken my sales funnel training. So we're also going to go through some universal responses. That's exactly why people like you hire me. That's exactly why you and I need to meet immediately, because guess what? It helps create urgency. That we're going to use tie-down questions as well, right? Isn't that what you want? Isn't that what you need? Wouldn't that be best for you? Wouldn't that be best for your family? Okay, why? Because through the art and through the skills of how to speak to expireds, we have to understand that we're really truly working to help them. So isn't that what you want? Isn't that what you need? Wouldn't that be best for you? Wouldn't that be best for your family if we help you move to wherever it is that you're looking to go to? Well, yeah, that would be best for me. Fantastic. So again, what's a script? We're just simply asking a set of questions. That's all we're doing. When should you close? Well, when should I ask for the appointment? You really at every opportunity, okay? At every opportunity is where we want to begin to close. So what we want to do here is we're going to go down to the scripts and we're going to go down to the dialogues, all right? So with the scripts and with the dialogues, hi, I'm looking for blank. And what you're going to find in this script and in this dialogue is you're going to find some amazing, number one, questions is what you're going to find, okay? And you're in finding those amazing, in asking those questions, you're going to find some responses on this side and some opportunities to close. Okay. So, hi, I'm looking for blank. Hi, blank. My name is blank with Pack Home Realty. I'm sure you figured out that your home came up on our computer as an expired listing. I was calling to see, when do you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your home? If you sold this home, where would you go next? How soon do you have to be there? These questions are from the Mike Ferry sales system, okay? Those questions right there, if you can just learn those questions, which I know that they're talked about often. However, those series of questions and how you ask those series of questions are what's going to generate the response. And so in generating the response, when do you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your home? If you sold this home, where are you planning on moving to next? And how soon do you have to be there? What it does is it creates a response out of the prospect. And what happens is now when we get that response, well, I had to be in Florida in the next 3 months. Okay, fantastic. Look, blank, did you just say Florida, right? There, you just input their answer, Florida, in the next how many days, weeks, and months? Did you blank? We're using their name there. Did you realize? By the way, how do I know their name? You know their name because of the dialing system that you're using. The dialing system. Remember, I showed you it has the names and everything right there. Did you realize that the average days on market for homes like yours is about blank? Then there's another blank days to get the transaction closed. Based on that new information, can you see that we need to get your home relisted immediately in order to get you to blank by blank? Isn't that what your family needs? There's that tie down that we talked about earlier. And you need to be in Florida within the next 3 months. Great, I'm available now or again at 4 or tomorrow. What works best for you? Here's the challenge though. Most people never put the time in to learn what to say. And that's the difficult part. And what I've done here is we've created not only the question, but there's also a response here for you that you can use all the way down to, how did you happen to pick the last agent that you listed with? Okay, let's see if we can fix that. What did that agent do that you liked best? I understand perfectly. That's exactly why you and I need to meet immediately. So these are the words that you have to practice, practice, practice so that you get so good at them that you build the confidence on what to say. Okay, and it works it down all the way down to, once we're working through those and we're closing, great, I'm excited about meeting with you today at blank. And then we're going to transition into that pre-qualifying script. Before I come out, there's a few questions that I need to ask. And then I would transition on my script board. And see, some of you can learn this to where you want to get to a place where Mike, my mentor, taught me, Mike Ferry, internalize it. You want to internalize your presentation. So exactly what I'm supposed to say, when I'm supposed to say it, I have that internalized in my process. Now, here's the thing. Are you going to sound exactly like this sounds? Probably not. Probably not. But if you take the framework and you begin to learn it and master it, your skill set's going to go up. So now you know exactly how to go out and call an expired. Number one, you know why it's important, because it's happening and there's people in your community that need your services. Number two, you know how to get the numbers, whether you take the route of going through the multiple listing service or door knocking, or you take the route of utilizing a dialer to reach out to some of these individuals. So you know how to do it, and you know about the systems to use. And then you also know what to say to them when you actually call them. Well, Anthony, I'm a brand new licensee. Good for you. Get to work. Good for you. Get to work. Well, Anthony, I've been in this business for 15, 20 years. Good for you. Get to work. Because do you want to sell more homes this year than you did last year? Do you want to earn more income this year versus what you earned last year? Do you want to help more families this year versus last year? Do you want to build the business of your dreams? Well, now we can't say, well, I don't know how to go out and build it, because I just gave you a nice blueprint on one leg of how to go out and take more listings, get more clients, and make more sales in your community. All right. So with that being said, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you've learned a lot. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out.